Oh.
All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Jim Bray, and I'm the chair of the Environmental Advisory Commission. And I'm officially opening tonight's meeting for September 12th, 2024. Now, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, okay, there's your copy of the agenda. All right, the first item on the agenda is review approval of the August 8th, 2024 meeting minutes. Does anybody have any additions, deletions? If not, we can approve the minutes as written. Okay, I don't hear anybody, so I'll need a motion to accept the minutes.
So moved. I'll second.
Second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the minutes are approved. The next item on the agenda is the 2024 Long-Range Master Tree Plan. And I can give you an update on that. I've recently, excuse me, talked to Jim Majewski. Firstly, the plan was approved, I think at the 8/18 or the 8/05 meeting with the Board of Supervisors. I forget which meeting. But anyway, what the plan envisioned is the planting of 1,545 trees, 1,500 shrubs, and an equal number of perennials. And they also approved a planting for this fall at the golf course and also at Makefield Park. Now, in the golf course, they're going to be planting initially 89 trees, but after talking to the manager of the golf course, Jim Majewski said that he wanted to add another 6 or 7 trees, which is fine. Because this year, what we did is we introduced a concept called reserve trees. And these trees don't really have a place to plant yet, but that'll be determined throughout the next 4 or 5 years. Because invariably, when you have a plan, it's going to change over the years. So that planting will amount to about 95 or 96 trees. And there'll also be a planting of 20 trees at Makefield Park. So, in talking to Jim Majewski again, the RFPs for those 2 plantings, or the request for proposal, went out late last week. So we should be probably hearing from some of the bidders pretty soon. And as soon as they pick the successful bidder, we'll establish a planting date, which will be sometime in the fall, probably late October or early November. So that's it as far as the 2024 plan is concerned. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Nope.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is recycling. Next recycling pill bottle styrofoam event scheduled for October 26, 2024. And also an article on our EAC recycling was recently sent to the Bucks County Herald. So anyway, October 26th from 10 to 12. I don't see the hours here, but it's from 10 to 12. And obviously we need volunteers. This is one of the most successful events that we ever run. And I think the last time we filled something like 80 bags filled with styrofoam, that if it wasn't going to be going to the processor, it would end up in a landfill. And for our guests' understanding, what actually happens with this is that the styrofoam is sent to a processor in Bristol, and they actually reform it into items such as picture frames, and the picture frames, then they put a vinyl covering on them, and they're fairly expensive. So instead of going into the landfill, it's reprocessed. This is, I think, the 17th time that we're going to have this recycling event. And we've branched out also to include batteries and pill bottles. So again, that event is going to be held on October 26th, right here
And corks.
Corks.
And wine corks.
Yeah. But we found out that it seems that the people in Lower Makefield Township like their wine because we ended up, I think, with 2 boxes of corks. Anyway, that's just an aside, okay?
Imagine that whole hallway outside the door here filled with bags.
All right. Do we have any more comments on the recycling? If not, we'll move on to the next agenda item, which is the single trash hauler analysis. Now, Alan and I have been working on that project at the request of John Lewis, the chairman of the Board of Supervisors. And in talking to John, he doesn't care if it's next month. He just wants that done before the end of the year. Now, this was done many, many years ago, and I'm not going to get into what happened that night, but it was not very favorable, okay? So to say the least, and that's an understatement. But I think the climate has changed now. Even back then, over 50% of the households in Bucks County were covered by a single trash hauler. So this is not a new concept or anything. So what Alan and I are doing right now, firstly, I'm taking a look at what the current rates are for the various haulers in Lower Makefield Township right now. And Alan is doing some write-ups about the benefits of single trash haulers, savings in gas, savings in road repair. Because right now, I think we have 3 trash haulers in Lower Makefield Township. Used to be 4 or 5. But anyway, when you think if it's 2 pickups a week, a single truck is going down a street and back up the street 4 times a week. And with 3 haulers, that's 12 times a week. If you have a single hauler, basically, even at twice a week, you're talking 4 times instead of 12 times. So the savings, of course, to the hauler are significant. That's why we hope this results in significant savings for the homeowners as well. But that's to be determined, when this thing goes out for bid. Also, what Alan and I are doing is we're trying to come up with what we think the township should be bidding on, the various specifications for the project. And again, we're an advisory council, but, we've been down this road before. And, based on past performance, the township most times listens to us. But again, these are suggestions that we're going to be offering the township. And of course, they can modify it any way they will. So, yes, we have our guest, Charlie. What's your last name?
I want to turn
John's.
All right, there. I'm recorded.
What's your name, please?
Charlie Johns Rudd.
And where do you live, Charlie?
I live on Gainesway Road.
Okay, in Lower Makefield Township.
Lower Makefield Township.
Sure, okay.
And I simply wanted to point out that I had a conversation with one of the commissioners at a polling place 5 or 6 years ago about the number of trash haulers, because I've been an advocate since we moved in 26 years ago, that why do we have multiple trash haulers? And he made the argument that the number of trips on the roads would be much less if you had a single hauler.
Right.
Or no, I made the argument that the trips would be much less. And he argued, well, the trucks fill up faster, so they have to cycle back to unload and then they come back. And his argument was that they make the same amount of trips. So I don't know if that's part of the analysis that you've done, or it was an interesting thing. And I've thought about it. I haven't done the math, but I thought about it. And I think—
Well, generally what they do is they send out multiple trucks, okay? So I'm not sure, that argument would be valid. Also, there's a lot of different ways of oh, okay. How do I do that, Dave? Hold on right here. Invite.
the blue button.
Oh,
There, oh, there.
oh, there we go. All right. Well, who's being admitted? Ask to unmute. Is that what I do, Dave? All right. Okay. All right. When you're talking about the single trash hauler concept, there's a lot of different ways that that can be done. What some municipalities have done, for instance, is they divide the township into quadrants or in half. So the way something like that would be worked, let's say it's in half. So the successful bidder then gets to pick the half that they want. And then the bidder that came in second can get the other half if they match the price of the first half. If they don't, and no one else does, then the bidder gets the whole township. That's just one way. There's infinite ways of doing this. But most of them, I think, end up with a single hauler. But that doesn't mean that we have to do that in Lower Makefield Township. All this is up in the air right now, and it's all to be determined in the future.
Would this be for residential and commercial?
No, this would just be for residential. I don't think we've ever touched a commercial before, to be honest with you, because generally the commercial is based on a contract with the individual business, I think. And this also probably.
Alan's there.
Oh, okay. Alan?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey,
Look at the
I told
mountains.
everybody you were in the mountains of Colorado. Is that where you are?
Yeah, look behind me. This is
Yeah,
not
oh,
a
wow.
screensaver.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Yeah. Yeah. Finally made it up here, unpacked and ready to go.
All right. Well, anyway, we're just discussing right now with our guest, Charlie. I'm sorry, what's your last name again, Charlie?
Johnsrud.
Johnsrud, Johnsrud.
Charlie Johnsrud. And he's very interested in the single trash hauler project. And Alan is the main guru on this project, okay? He's doing most of the write-up. So I don't know if there's anything else you'd want to add, Alan?
Well, I didn't hear everything you said, but I will say we're drafting a document that's going to give information on single hauler trash and maybe have some recommendations. We had a similar document from 2008, and we're updating it. We're making it a little smaller. It'll probably be 5 or 6 pages, you think? 7, 8, something like that. But I'm calling other municipalities to see how they're handling single hauler trash. And I think Jim's talking to our local haulers that serve the residents. And based on that, we'll come up with a lot of information and some recommendations. And hopefully by our next meeting, we'll have a draft for everybody to look at.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I just called the various trash haulers today for the second time just to make sure I had everything right. And I'm glad I did, because there were a couple of nuances that I missed. But my analysis is complete now. I just have to write it in schematic form, and you'll be probably receiving that in a day or two, Alan.
Yeah, send it to me, and I'll put it all together. We'll have something to look at next meeting.
All right, thank you, Alan.
Mm-hmm.
All right, is there any other comments on the single trash hauler? If not, we'll go to the next topic. All right, the next topic is Birdtown EAC. A lecture on hummingbirds will be held at the LMT Community Center from 10 to 12 p.m. on September 28th, 2024. And there's also some other upcoming events. So, Jeanne, do you want to address those issues?
On October 5th, we're having our second Falconry event. And that will be at 3 p.m. at the same place the first one was, which is in the Oh,
Memorial Park
Memorial
on
Park.
the
east,
northeast corner.
right.
So,
And I will be at Harvest Day with at a table, hopefully letting people know that about Birdtown, because so many people don't know about Birdtown. So, but that's it for now.
You may want to tell the public when Harvest Day is happening.
yeah, Harvest Day is September 21st, I think, from 10 to 5. Does that sound about right?
That is correct.
Okay. All right. Good. Glad I got that right. Anyway, also, and these are generally joint ventures between Birdtown, and Jeanne is the chair of Birdtown, and the EAC. So we have, you know, what I consider is an excellent collaboration as far as that's concerned. All right, unless we have any more comments on Birdtown, the next item is the proposed single-use plastics ban. And in talking to Chairman Lewis, we're going to probably be deferring that discussion until sometime this fall. We do have the single trash hauler analysis that we're working on right now, and the board is very interested in moving forward on that. Next item, update on land use plans. That's real easy. No new activity.
Nothing new.
Something's happened in the meantime that we don't know about, Alan.
Which is not beyond the realm of possibilities, but seems pretty quiet right now. So we'll assume that's the case. Haven't heard of any new plans.
All right. That sounds good. Well, thank you, Alan. All right. The next thing on the agenda is EAC lecture and event series. And again, Jeanne already talked about that, but I'll repeat it. Because of popular demand, a second Falconry exhibition has been scheduled for 10/5/24 at the Memorial Park venue. And then we have a little note here, assignments for volunteers. The last time there were a lot more people there than we really expected. We had over 110 people on the field. And I was the sole person directing traffic. And I don't know, I probably, if you rated me, it would probably be a B-, or which is better than a C, I think. But anyway, the basic problem wasn't there wasn't enough of me. So we need a couple more volunteers. And so I don't know, Paul, Kevin, I don't know what your plans are that day, but we can talk about that in the next week to come. I will round up a couple of yellow jackets. So with that in mind, the odds of us getting run over are smaller. Okay.
I think we're
still there, but but it's a smaller possibility.
I think we had more problem with dogs frightening the falcons.
Yeah, that also I should, you know, I love dogs, but dogs are unfortunately not permitted at the Falconry exhibition, especially small dogs. And I don't have to go into the reason why you don't want small dogs at a Falconry exhibition. Okay. All right. And again, I'll be talking to other EAC members in the next week or so, you know, about volunteer activities at the Falconry exhibition. Now, there's another EAC lecture that I'm working on right now, and that's in collaboration with Birdtown. And it's right now in the formative stages. So I will be talking to the Heidi Shiver, who is the director of Birdtown. And I guess that's for the state of Pennsylvania, right, Jeanne? Right. Yeah, okay. With a collaboration dealing with Lower Makefield Township's native plant ordinance. And the Birdtown people are very, very interested in that native plant ordinance because, of course, when you're talking about birds and you want to draw them to your yard, you're talking about native plants. As a matter of fact, just as an aside, Audubon actually stated that if you have a good sampling of native vegetation in your yard, you will pull over 10 times more birds and caterpillars than if you did not have those plants. And, you know, I'm not going to go into the reasoning now. If you want to find that out, you have to come to the lecture. So that's something that's in the formative stages right now.
Yeah, that's I never thought of that because my backyard has lots of birds, and I didn't realize it was because of the diversity of the plants I had there. No one else in my neighborhood has that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we
Who
do.
knew?
Yeah, we do, and we draw tons of birds. And I've mentioned to my dear wife that the bird food budget is starting to approach the human food budget. And once it reaches that, we're going to have a discussion, okay? But it's not quite there yet. So anyway, we'll worry about that down the road a little.
It's great in the spring when the babies come because they're in this little bush right outside our kitchen window and where we sit and have breakfast. Yes. But the weirdest thing is they fly into our sliding patio door. They just, boom,
I know when it,
and they knock themselves out.
so you can hang.
Well, at least they're well fed when they knock themselves out, Paul. So that's some kind of consolation. All right. The next item on the agenda is Tree City USA. And we're very, very pleased that at a recent board meeting, the Board of Supervisors approved Lower Makefield Township filing an application for Tree City USA. And there's actually 4 parameters that have to be reached. We've already attained 3 of them. They have to do with budgeting for trees and maintenance and that sort of thing. But the one that we haven't done yet is to hold an Arbor Day celebration. So I already talked to Chairman Lewis about that. And we're going to pick a date later in the year, hopefully to coincide when we have tree plantings in our 2024 master tree plan taking place. And we haven't exactly established what kind of format the meetings yet, but we're thinking maybe of getting some of the local dignitaries there and you know, talking it up a little because Tree City USA is a big deal, and especially our master plans, the 2016 that we just finished and the 2024. I'm always fond of saying that nobody but nobody plants more trees than Lower Makefield Township. So anyway.
Is there any chance we can get a proclamation from the Board of Supervisors on that?
Yeah, that's part of the ceremony, actually. And they even come up, Tree City is pretty good. It's actually an adjunct of the Arbor Day Foundation. And they have like sample proclamations where you just essentially fill in the blanks. Now, I read one, and it's actually very, very good because it's obviously been thought out over the years. Now, of course, if our current chair and our township manager, I don't know which one would actually give the proclamation. If they want to change it, of course, they can do whatever they want as far as that's concerned. But the one I read was actually very, very good, and it seemed to cover all the bases. All right. Next item on the agenda is the model energy ordinance. And we responded to the Planning Commission and the administration managers, I guess, about a couple of weeks ago. And Kevin did a lot of work on that project as well. So it was a very, very comprehensive plan that they asked us to look at. And we reviewed it and we made several recommendations. And as I said, Kevin spent a lot of time on that, as well as Alan and myself a little. Next item, open space recommendations and ballot referendum. This was passed by the Board of Supervisors at the 7/17/24 meeting. Alan, you want to just talk about that briefly?
Well, are people familiar with the what's going to be in the language of the referendum? Because I could send it out if you'd like.
Yeah, why don't you send it to me and I'll forward it.
Okay. Yeah, and actually, I'll send you a couple things. I'll send you the language, and then I wrote up a flyer, which we're not allowed to distribute as the EAC because our solicitor said the supervisors and any of the committees cannot advocate one way or the other on this issue. I'm not sure why, but we can't. So the flyer would just be informational, so you can see some of the facts and all that. And if you talk to your neighbors, you might be able to tell them about it. But yeah, it's going to be on the ballot November 5th, and hopefully it'll get enough votes to pass. It's up to $15 million for open space and conservation easements.
How many million?
It's $15 million,
15.
Paul.
Wow.
But one of the
Yeah.
things that we have to make clear to the residents is that doesn't mean we're going to spend $15 million. That gives the board the freedom to spend up to $15 million over,
Right.
I think it's a 10-year period.
Right.
And one of the things that the EAC is doing is that we've already talked about several properties that we think would be ideal for the township to either conserve or purchase. And of course, there'll be more in the offing as well. We still have the prior study, even though it's over 10 years old, a lot of that is still valid. So anyway, we're very, very pleased, the EAC, that this bond referendum is going to be on the ballot. And if it's like any of the past referendums, it's always been approved by at least 70%. It's about the only thing that I know of in Lower Makefield Township that people vote on with that high of a margin. Yeah, Paul, I'm sorry. Okay, I thought you might want to say anything.
I have a question.
Kevin.
Is there any overlap between this open space referendum and the stormwater plan? Is there any kind of cohesion there?
The only cohesion there could be is if, for instance, we acquired some properties that had streams going through them and we wanted to do a little remediation or things like that. You want to add anything to that, Alan?
Yeah, the stormwater issue might help push the supervisors to purchase or take easements on property that, like Jim said, is near a creek or wetlands, and that if it's not developed will reduce this potential for flood water, because as soon as you develop a property, you're going to get more runoff than if you leave it in its current state and natural state. So that could be a lever to encourage them to go ahead and acquire open space. But as far as I don't know if they're in the actual rules they're rewriting to say that. That would be nice, Kevin, if they did that. I haven't heard anything on the revised stormwater ordinances. I was going to go in next week and talk to Jim Majewski and ask him about it, what's going on. But yeah,
it's actually a good idea, I think, Alan, because I was thinking the same thing. I'm assuming that that's going to be reviewed and passed before the end of the year.
That was the plan. I thought a draft would be out like in September, so I would think it's any day now.
Yeah, and from what we read, it seems to make a lot of sense. And this actually is going to supplant the LID ordinance, low impact development ordinance that we passed in late 2006, which at the time was really, really a cutting edge ordinance. But over the years, situations has changed, and this new stormwater management ordinance should hopefully take us up to date. But I'm hoping that it's going to be passed very soon, though.
Yep. I'm sure we'll get a chance to comment on it. Well, hopefully.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that they're going to give us that opportunity. All right, the next thing on the agenda is the EAC and township newsletters. Now, I think we just sent one out, didn't we, Paul?
Yes, we did.
All right, you want to tell us a little about that one?
Well, we had articles about the last Falconry exhibit. We also, talked about our last styrofoam recycling event And I forget some of the other things we put in there. We also talked about our work on the ordinance on stopping the use of single-use plastic bags by retailers. And I think that's about it for this past issue.
All right, this is actually one of the very important things that we do because it's an excellent way of publicizing what we're doing and also publicizing upcoming events. At this stage, correct me if I'm wrong, Paul, we have between 400 and 500 people on the list.
Between the two different groups, inside the township and outside the township, it's about 300.
Yeah, okay. And the good thing about this is every single one of those persons is interested in environmental matters. So we're talking to the choir when we send this out. So generally, we get pretty good responses for the programs that we're running. All right, thanks, Paul.
Paul, could I ask Paul a question?
Sure.
You think we could maybe send one out in about a month, maybe 5 weeks from now, reminding people about the recycling collection event on the 26th? And maybe we can just put something in there that says, by the way, there's an open space referendum on the ballot. This is what it's going to ask, and not be proactive one way or the other.
Yeah.
Maybe run it by the township manager to make sure he's okay with it. It would just be.
We have to send it to the solicitor too.
No,
I don't know.
I don't think we have to send it to the solicitor. But
what happened to the First Amendment? Does that mute in our case?
I guess we've lost our First
actually,
Amendment ability.
No, actually, I agree with the township. I think we're an advisory group, and we're not advocates per se. But I think Alan's idea of just putting the language that's going to occur on the ballot is really not being an advocate or saying that we like it or we don't like it or anything else. I think that would be entirely appropriate. And what I'll do is that when it's written up, I'll take it to Dave, our township manager, and let him take a look at it. But I don't think there'll be any issue.
Yeah, it would just be informative. Let them know this coming up because everybody might not know.
A public service announcement.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like that public service announcement. Okay, that sounds good.
Alan, are you seeing a bird?
Am I seeing a bird? No, I'm seeing my granddaughter.
Oh, okay.
Here. Can you see her? Let's see. Where is she? She's up high. Oh, I can't find it.
Well, we're seeing a lot of you, but we're not seeing any birds. So,
well, I'm trying to get my granddaughter. She went away.
Okay.
All right. Next time.
Yeah, okay. All right. So that sounds, I think that's an excellent idea. And that's one of the main benefits, I think, of our newsletter is that right away, in a day or two, if something hot is coming up, we can send out a flash newsletter and it's going to go to a whole bunch of people. In addition, of course, we use the township media as well. Excuse me. All right. Next thing, odds and ends, EAC webpage update. Alan and Soumya, you have anything going on that, Alan?
I don't. I'll ask Katie about that when I go in next week too. Because we sent her some things to see if they're going to be put up or not on the website. Is Soumya here? Is she in the meeting? Okay, so I don't know if she's in it. But yeah, we'll keep pushing that.
All right, and sounds good.
Did you vote to approve the minutes at the beginning?
Yeah.
Yes.
We already did.
You had enough people? Okay, I just...
Yeah, because right now, we're down to 5 permanent members. And a quorum is we only need 3 for a quorum.
Okay, all right, just wanted to make sure.
Yeah. All right, the last item on the agenda is open discussion. Charlie, as a guest, I don't know if you want to add anything or just listen or whatever, but it's up to you.
Oh, thank you. I've been listening, and I'm interested in a lot of the subjects. One subject that or two things that I'm here really about is one is stormwater and who is working on that and how I might ask questions or find out what's going on with the township. Because I mentioned before, I live near Silver Lake, and I'm interested in the stormwater going in there that's collected in there. I just want to learn more about it and how it can be addressed.
All right. Yeah. Well, stormwater management obviously is a hot topic, and you know it's really been brought to the format, I guess, a year or two when we had that horrific incident in Upper Makefield Township.
Maplevale.
Pardon? Maplevale, both places.
Yeah, and Maplevale also, we had extensive flooding there as well. And the initial low impact development ordinance that was done in 2006, that was basically an in-house document. At the time, the Board of Supervisors Chair Steve Sanacero asked me to form a committee and get the ordinance done before the end of the year. So being as smart as I am, I got people on the committee who really knew what they were doing, okay? And we were able to come up with something by the end of the year. And as I said at the time, that was really cutting edge, but we're talking now over 15 years ago. So now I believe the township is hiring an outside consultant. Is that correct, Alan? To actually create the ordinance. And then, of course, there'll be a lot of input from you know, the township and the residents as well.
Right. I can't remember their name, but yeah, they're drafting some proposed stormwater ordinances that are what I've seen and heard. They're pretty cutting edge. They should be really good. I've been impressed so far.
Yeah, I think it was called HRG or something like that.
Yeah, something like
their
that,
name. Yeah. But anyway, so we're actually looking forward to that, and hopefully that's going to happen very shortly. Okay, open discussion. Anything else, Charlie?
Well, the other reason I'm here is the green light's on. Okay. So the other reason I'm here is that Silver Lake has a lake association. It's the Makefield Lakes Community Association, which I've been tangentially involved with over the years. My wife was an officer for a good number of years, and I've started to attend, and they're interested in becoming known to the EAC and maybe collaborating on some of the issues that we're facing with that particular lake and maybe other lakes in the township, to understand how they're maintained and what are the best practices for some of those things. And maybe there's documentation on that already, but maybe there's a way to participate and contribute to that.
Yeah, and actually I have an idea too, that possibly in the future, your association might want to give a short, talk at one of our meetings.
Meeting that we had Tuesday evening, just this past Tuesday evening, the issue of the MS4s came up, and there was a comment that those would involve or could involve educational presentations. And there was a suggestion that we might be able to put something together or participate in putting something together that would lend some benefit to the township's application for that. But also we're curious about what is being distributed into the lake from the stormwater basins that drain into the lake. And I have that right next to me. And I live on the western channel that feeds the lake, and it's been clogged up at the upstream end, and the stormwater basin deposited road waste, and I've got a nice oil film on the channel frequently. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the issues I'm concerned about.
Just as an aside, when I was in high school, myself and my friends, we used to sneak over there and swim in that place at night. But I guess you don't want to hear about that, right?
Oh, I'm curious about the history of it. No, they don't encourage swimming anymore, but. Well,
it also always had a mucky bottom. Okay, yes. So that tend to dissuade us as well. So,
No, I live at the upstream end of the lake, right where all of the leaves and the other organic material drop out of the flow as it enters the larger body of water. So
Okay.
it's, the depth over there is only about 8 to 12 inches, and there's heron walking around in there all the time.
well, I think actually the township is fortunate to have a beautiful body of water like that in the township. I mean, just visually, it's really, really quite beautiful. And I guess it's real asset to the people who live around it too, because it doesn't flood, if I remember correctly. So
No, I mean,
Not
the water goes up. The water goes up, and you can watch it go up, but the houses are raised up around it. So, but there is a new president and really a new generation of a lot of homeowners, new younger homeowners that are coming in and have a lot of interest. So we're trying to generate the interest in order to let them carry on what some of us have been doing for the last, I don't say us, I mean, my wife has been doing for 26 years.
yeah, I say us a lot, and it's really not. It's really not us, okay? But my wife is always very polite as far as not correcting me. Okay. All right. Open discussion still on. Anybody else?
Yeah, I just have one question. Maybe someone can help me with. I have a problem with yellow jackets in my lawn. What is the best way to get rid of them? Because I got stung today when I was mowing the lawn.
In the lawn,
Yeah, in the ground. They have two nests real close to each. I don't know if it's the same entrance and exit from the same nest, but I went out last night with a bucket of hot soapy water, but that didn't get rid of them. So I'm looking for another suggestion.
Well, I can give you a suggestion, Paul, but I'm not sure it's the appropriate way to do it. But what I do, I have a can of spray that kills bugs. I spray them and I run.
Okay.
And then a couple hours later, I come back again and do the same thing.
All right.
The only downside is now I'm getting older and I don't run as fast as I used to run. So having not done it lately, I'm not sure if that's the appropriate way to do it.
Yeah, because a neighbor of mine saw what happened, and he said, well, he had the same problem last week, and he actually burned them out with gasoline. I don't think I want to go that far.
Yeah, I got stung a couple years ago, and now I just dressed head to toe. I just dress full sleeves, long sleeves. It gets hot, but I don't get stung.
Yeah.
All right, look, if we're telling horror stories here, I have a really good one that years ago, my wife and I belonged to CSA in New Jersey. And they also had this beautiful field of flowers where you could pick your own flowers. And we walked through the field, and at that time I had sandals on, open toes. And all of a sudden, I exploded in the air because a yellow jacket actually got between my toe and stung me. And I'll tell you, that was memorable. I have never forgotten that incident. So anyway, as long as we're telling horror stories, that's my story. I don't know if anybody else has one, but I'm not sure even that's appropriate for the EAC meeting.
Yeah.
But we're about to end anyway. So anybody else have any?
Well, is Charlie the guest?
Yes.
Yeah. If we do anything MS4 related, we should get Jim Majewski involved, the community development director, because he's the one in charge of getting the permit for the township and all that. So he would probably be interested in anything we do in that related to MS4, the lecture, or anything like that.
Good, thank you.
Okay. All right, we're still in open discussion. Anything else? Otherwise,
I've also heard some type of rumor, I don't know if it's true or not, that the EAC of Yardley Borough wants to merge with our EAC. Has anyone heard anything about that?
No, I know that they did not have an EAC for some years, and I know that they're revitalizing their EAC, but I don't think, I think we will end up doing a lot of collaborating with them on various things, but I don't think they want
To merge.
to merge. I haven't heard that.
Yeah,
We did apply for some type of grant or some type of monitoring program on the tributary that goes into
Buck
Lake
Creek.
Afton.
Yeah, Buck Creek.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
I also know Patty Kleiner is a fellow naturalist with myself at Bowman's Hill Wildflower Preserve. And Patty is just, I think, joined the EAC in Yardley. And she told Jeanne and I that they're in the process of revitalizing the EAC in Yardley Borough. They used to have an up and going EAC because many, many times in the past, we have joined them or they have joined us. And even in the past, we've had a couple of projects that we work on together. So we certainly welcome the revitalization. And as Jeanne said, hopefully in the future, we'll have some collaborative projects.
Yeah, we've done the same thing with Morrisville EAC and I think Newtown once. We showed a movie about fracking Gasland, I remember, years back.
Okay, so open discussion is still open. Anything else? If not, we'll end the meeting. All right, since I don't hear any more comments, I'm going to officially close the meeting at 6:56.
Yep.
Thank everybody.
Let the record show.
And Charlie, thank you very much for your interest in coming out tonight.
Yeah, Jim.
Oh. Closing stuff.